Welcome back to the Thoughtful Advocate. I'm your host, Elizabeth Teo, and today we're focusing on hope, specifically on hope in fighting climate change. I know a lot of things have been doom and gloom, especially if you're watching the news or you're constantly on social media and you just see all the bad that's happening. We need to focus on some of the good so that it can motivate us to keep on going. Okay, so let's just start with a fact. So according to the Carbon Majors report, just 100 companies alone are responsible for 71% of global emissions. That's a lot on just very few companies. Now that's pretty upsetting. That's all the more reason why we need these companies to make big change. Because clearly if they're responsible for 71% of global emissions, then something needs to change so they can make the most positive impact on this planet. Now I know what you're thinking, companies, all they care about is profit. And yeah, that's true. In a capitalist society, profit is all that matters. If we're gonna continue living on this planet, we need to take care of it. So let's take a look at some companies that are actually making a change. They're not gonna be perfect, but at least there's some examples of companies that are taking the steps towards a better future. So everyone knows Microsoft. So a lot of companies are aiming for carbon neutrality. So that means they're not emitting more than they're producing. Microsoft has pledged to be carbon negative. So that means their plan is to remove all carbon emitted since 1975. So they hope to do this by 2030. And they're putting the money where their mouth is. Let's hope the actions follow. They have backed this up with $1 billion with a B, dollars for their climate initiative fund. And it seems like they're ahead of their goals. I think that's really exciting. According to their 2022 report, they've already reduced carbon emissions by 17% within just 1 year. So that's pretty exciting. So another success story, I don't know how to pronounce this, Ørsted, O-R-S-T-E-D. It's a Danish energy company. Apparently 20 years ago, they were one of Europe's most coal-intensive energy corporations. But today, they are one of the global leaders for offshore wind power. So they've reduced their carbon emissions by 87% since 2006. That's pretty big. And they're on track to become carbon neutral by 2025. So that's literally this year. The other company with awesome change is Patagonia. I feel like they were one of the first sustainable fashion brands I heard of personally. And I knew about them through their repair program. Apparently, if you buy a piece of their clothing and the zipper breaks or anything's broken, you can bring it to their store and they'll repair it for you. I think that's amazing. Instead of throwing away a perfectly good garment, you can just have them repair it for you. The art of repair is becoming lost, honestly. I think it's more common that people don't know how to sew or repair things. I'm not great at sewing. We're just used to buying new when something's broken, and that needs to change. So they were one of the first companies that I heard that were doing that. And also I think the whole reason behind companies not wanting to repair is so that you can buy from them again. And again, it's profit, right? It's another reason why a lot of companies are cutting corners, making things out of cheaper, instead of metal and higher quality materials, they're making things out of plastic. Things that don't last very long, for example. I hear the story all the time, old washing machines would last decades. But now they break so easily, so it seems they just want you to buy a new one whenever it breaks, and they're making things last a lot shorter than they used to. Also, Patagonia has a 1% for the planet commitment. I think that's pretty awesome. That's $100 million donated to environmental causes every year. I think that's amazing. More companies should do that. And I think it's important to remember that even small companies can make there's this app that was pretty small. I think it's gaining traction now through TikTok and social media and other things. It's called Too Good To Go. Actually, my husband and I have been using this app, and basically they're saving food waste. They're saving food from going to waste. So basically they connect consumers to restaurants. Usually it happens at the end of the day sale. They need their food, bakery goods, even meals. to be like consumed, otherwise they have to throw it out. And a lot of like companies like Starbucks, Tim Hortons, their baked goods is just out all day, and at the end of the day they toss it. But I know some employees that they take a bag full home even though they're not supposed to. I think they should be allowed to, because you might as well give it to someone who's actually going to eat it. A lot of resources go into like making the wheat, the sugar, everything from water to energy from the farmers who have to farm it, and just time is a valuable resource that it takes to grow the crops. So Too Good To Go has saved over 200 million meals since being found in 2016. I didn't know they started so far back then. I only found out about them last year. So that's awesome. And basically with the app, like you go and you buy, like for example at Tim Hortons, you buy something for I think it's like $6 or something. You get a box of assorted goods. You don't know what you're getting. It's like a mystery box. You go in, show the app, and then they give you whatever is left over. And then yeah, sometimes you get really good stuff and for really cheap. So win-win. Yeah, who doesn't love saving money? So there's another company I never heard of. It's called Interface, a carpet manufacturer, which I would never have even thought of. They have a mission called Mission Zero. It's to eliminate anything negatively impacting the environment, which is very broad. But apparently they've reduced their carbon emissions by 96% since 1996. So that's when I was born. And now they're operating using 100% renewable energy. That's awesome. So let's talk about the ripple effects of all of this. So yeah, we're talking about a handful of companies. But when major companies make these changes, it basically forces the standard to level up. And their competitors will follow suit because they see that these companies are making the change. And if the public is wanting this and they're going to support companies that actually are making these changes, then, you know, their competitors will want to do the same because they want people to continue buying from them. So another example, we're going to talk about the car industry or the auto industry. Yeah, Tesla is big. They proved that electric vehicles could be profitable. Suddenly every major car company started investing in electric vehicles since Tesla came out because they just saw how successful it was. So an example is Volvo. They are committing to being 100% electric by 2030. And GM plans to sell only zero emission vehicles by 2035. So a lot of people ask, so if it's just up to these companies, we don't have to do anything like on an individual level? And I don't think that's true. I think our individual choices do matter because it's like a vote and it creates market pressure. So when we choose sustainable products, we're choosing to support responsible companies. And businesses tend to listen to where the money is going towards. And I know it can be hard. Honestly, I still buy from Amazon because it's easy and cheap. And right now we're on like a really tight budget being new parents. So I know how hard it can be. But it can be little things. Like if you're buying a gift for someone, maybe check out like a local artist, like a local candle maker, someone who grows their flowers locally. Could be supporting someone who bakes their own goods, even buying from companies that are trying to make a difference, like Patagonia. And yeah, it can be just small changes that can really add up. So this is not to guilt anyone to be like, you have to be 100% only buying from sustainable companies. Buying used is good. Repairing the things you already have, using the stuff you already have is even better. So if you don't have to buy, don't do it. But if you do, take a look at your options. See where you can invest in. For example, buying higher quality clothing. That's going to last a lot longer. That's one area of my life where I don't buy new clothes anymore. And it's been like a long time. I only buy secondhand clothes. Yeah, that's one area you can cut down on and do little things. Because you don't want to burn out. You also want to conserve your energy, so focus on the bigger picture as well. Also look at how quickly companies are removing single-use plastics due to consumer demand. There's the whole plastic straw ban, using paper straws. But practicality-wise, paper straws aren't great. They like melt in the water. And honestly, they do take resources to make too, so reusable is always best. So yeah. Not always debate about if it's compostable, because is it really? There's a lot of things out there. But yeah, before we wrap up, I want to emphasize that we're not letting companies off the hook. especially about the greenwashing. We're not going to accept that. But this episode is really to acknowledge like real progress is being made and examples out there, because all we hear is about the bad that the companies are doing. There are some companies that are making the change, and that's because of public pressure, their own belief systems, and I think that's awesome. So I think criticism and celebration go hand in hand. We need both. Criticism to drive the change for these companies, but also celebration to show what's possible. Yeah, climate change is real. We obviously need to take it seriously, but we also need to see hope if we're going to keep going, right? If all is bad, you're going to burn out and say, what's the point? And we don't want that. Change is possible, whether that be on an individual level, company level, world level. It's possible if you believe. So imagine 10 years from now, if we keep pushing for these changes, the world could be a better place. Thank you so much for tuning into The Thoughtful Advocate. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can find. YouTube, Zero Waste Cutie. I post the video version of this episode. You can also message me on Instagram at Zero Waste Cutie. Please leave a review. I usually share reviews in our episodes, and it's just a way I like to connect with the audience. Sometimes I have questions or polls in my Instagram stories, which I read out and shout out to anyone that responds and share their answers here. I'd like to rebuild an awesome community of thoughtful advocates that believe in change, better change for a better future. Thank you. All right, thanks for listening.
Okay, so today's sponsor is Kind Laundry. Just kidding, they're not really a sponsor, but I do have an affiliate code. Kind Laundry use natural ingredients, and it actually comes in these sheets. So much more useful than liquid laundry detergent, because that stuff gets messy. With Kind Laundry, you can bring this anywhere. It's literally in a box, pack in your suitcase, and it's that easy. You can get 10% off by using code ZeroWasteCute.